The objective for this lesson is to multiply unit fractions by non-unit fractions. Here we have a word problem that is still modeling that same type of problem. It says Jenna has 3/4 pan of crispy rice treats, and she sent half of the treats to school. What fraction of the whole pan did she send to the school? And then so we're looking for a fraction of the pan. I'll write a focused answer here. To school. And in this case, we'll also solve this problem using an area model. So this is a whole pan because it says what fraction of the whole pan did she send to the school. And then so that there is 1. Now the other bits of information that we have in our problem says she has 3/4 pan of crispy rice treats and that she sends half of the treats to school. So in this case, we'll start with the amount that she currently has of 3/4, drawing vertical lines for that and shading in. These represent the 3/4 of a pan of Rice Krispie treats that Jenna has. And then she ends up sending half of that over to the school. And then in sending half, we go half of that amount there. And then so we're looking at the equation of 1/2 times 3/4, which will equal 3/8. So she sent 3/8 of the pan to school. And I can also shade that to represent the half, and our 3 out of 8 is right here, or we've got 3 out of all the 8 there. Here I have 1/3 of 3/4. I can also write this back as 1/3 of 3/4 in unit form. If I had 3/4 within unit form then 1/3 of 3 of those fourths would just be equal to 1/3 of 3/4. So we had here, if we look at a bar model, we're looking at this, hey, there's 1/4 there, there's 1/4 there, and there's another fourth there that represents 3/4. So 1/3 of 3/4 better be equal to 1/4, which also can be written in fraction form as 1/4. Our multiplication sentence that shows this is 1/3 times 3/4, which will equal 1 times 3 over 3 times 4, and then we can cancel those 3's to get 1/4. So 1/3 of 3/4 does equal 1/4. Now if I continued with that area model, that 1/3 times 3/4, I can go ahead and separate this out here, like this here, to model 1/3, and then I would be looking at those 3 right there, but that's 3 out of 12. And you will see, if we divide by 3 and divide by 3, we do get 1/4. Use an area model to find the product of these two fractions. Remember to express your answer in simplest form. Pause that video to work out your problem. Here's your area model. We should have modeled 3/5 first by drawing vertical lines, dividing that into 5 parts, and then looking at 3 of those parts for 3/5. That's the part that you would shade in. Then in this case, we're looking at 1/3 of that 3/5, and so we are drawing horizontal lines to divide that into 3 parts, and we're only looking at 1/3 of it. So, our answer then would be 3 in the numerator. So we have 1/3 times 3/5 equaling 3 in the numerator. And then we see this is 3 by 5, or 3 times 5, which is 15. And as I had stated, we wanted to express that into simplest form. So 1/3 times 3/5 equals 1/5. Showing that with equations again, we have 1/3 times 3/5 equaling 1 times 3 over 3 times 5. Canceling the 3's, we have 1 over 5. Let's take a look at one last problem. We have 3/4 of Roberta's garden, which is planted in vegetables. Let's draw an area model to represent what we're looking at here. That represents the whole garden. It says radishes are planted in 1/3 of the garden. How much of Roberta's garden is planted in radishes? So the whole garden, then we divide it into 4 parts. We're looking at 3 of those parts, or 3/4 of the garden. And then it says, out of that 3/4, we're only looking at 1/3 of it. So we draw horizontal lines to represent the thirds, and shade. So as you can see, this is 1/3 of the 3/4, which is 1, 2, 3 out of the 12. So 1/3 times 3/4 does equal 3/12. If I simplify that, I end up getting 1/4. So 1/4 of the garden is planted in radishes. So I expressed my answer clearly as well. So we have an area model that matches an equation. And remember, of course, when you are multiplying, just as if you were adding or subtracting or even dividing, you must express your answer in simplest form.